From ring chasing to referee favoritism, the modern NBA has its fair share of problems. That's a video I'm putting together for another day. But here's why the reigning champion Bucks and the 2019 champion Raptors prove why the league is still worth following. Entering the regular season in a few weeks, dark horse contenders like the Jazz, Nuggets, Clippers, Heat, Warriors, among many others, look like they have a chance to put together a championship campaign. What the Bucks displayed in 2021 and 2 years before that, what Toronto displayed in 2019, is that you don't need several superstars to win a ring in the modern era. So, can the Bucks go back-to-back? And what's the formula to a non-super team success? Before continuing, around 3/4 of my audience isn't subscribed, so please subscribe. Also, leave a thumbs up, it takes a few seconds and makes a massive difference. The NBA is superstar driven, which will lead many fans to think that Brooklyn and LA will easily roll through their respective conference. And you could make the argument that the Nets and Lakers will advance to the finals, and as I've said in the past, it'd be a damn entertaining matchup. But what can't be argued is that it'll be an easy path for those two teams to get there. The 2021 Milwaukee Bucks were the prime example of the extreme unpredictability that's still present in the superteam era. 4 straight grueling years of getting eliminated in the postseason from 2017 to 2020 included 2 first-round exits. The Bucks then picked up Drew Holiday, traded for PJ Tucker at the deadline, and just like that, they were champs. We'll get to Milwaukee and Toronto's formula to success, but there's a ton of teams just like the Bucks and Raptors who've come up short of achieving their playoff expectations in recent years, but are ready to finally get over the hump. The Utah Jazz are at the forefront of the dark horse contenders next year. The Western Conference's number 1 seed was eliminated in round 2 to the LA Clippers, but with Donovan Mitchell entering year 5 of his career and the front office acquiring veteran pieces like Hassan Whiteside and Rudy Gay, Salt Lake City's equipped for a deep run next year. The key for Utah is Mike Conley staying healthy. If he's taking the pressure off D-Mitch in the backcourt, then the Jazz become that much more dangerous. Everyone's going to call them an easy second-round exit, but don't forget that's how we felt about Milwaukee and Toronto. Moving on to the Nuggets and Clippers, who are expecting their number 1 options in Jamal Murray and Kawhi Leonard to return before the 2022 playoffs. The Nugs and Clips have combined for 2 West Finals appearances since the bubble. The Joker and PG-13 should be able to carry the scoring load for their respective squads, keeping Denver and LA at the top of the West. The Miami Heat are looking solid already in the preseason with the new additions of PJ Tucker and Kyle Lowry. Butler and Adebayo were mentioned on my duos list the other day, and we can't forget how much of a problem they make Miami. Look for the Heat to challenge the Nets and Bucks for the top seed in the East this season. Last but not least, the Splash Brothers will be back intact before you know it, but even without Klay, the Warriors had an outstanding preseason debut against Portland. Seeing Iguodala back in a Warriors jersey just feels right, even if he did break Cody Zeller's nose. The improvement of Jordan Poole, who dropped 30 last night, could be a big factor for Golden State. The newly acquired veterans in Otto Porter Jr. and Avery Bradley look healthy, so those 4 players along with Klay, who will be back in December, could be just enough for Curry to lead this team back to the promised land. I could have gone in depth on several other teams like the Suns, Blazers, Hawks, Sixers, Mavericks, and Bulls, so including the teams I just broke down, that means other than the Lakers, Nets, and even the Bucks, there's legitimately 11 more teams who have expectations of winning a championship. This NBA season is going to be insane. The Bucks prove that it doesn't take playing in a large market to succeed, and that if you surround one top 10 player who relentlessly believes in their team's chances with the right pieces,
anything's possible! Anything's possible!
What I mean by relentlessly believes in his team's chances was exemplified by Giannis. The phrase that the Greek Freak repeated throughout last season was that Milwaukee was, quote, built for this. He said that all throughout the regular season and even after the Bucks went down 2-0 to Brooklyn and Phoenix. We could sit here all day talking about the all-time great on-court value that Giannis displayed. Additionally, the man's all-out effort between the lines was inspirational. But without Antetokounmpo's utter belief in the Bucks, he wouldn't have won them the chip. Team leaders that have resembled Antetokounmpo's playoff optimism include LeBron James, Kevin Durant, Stephen Curry, Donovan Mitchell, Trae Young, Chris Paul, Jamal Murray, Kawhi Leonard, Jason Tatum, Jimmy Butler, and Damian Lillard. Some of those players are ringless, and some have achieved the ultimate glory, but my point is, they all have a chance to win a title in the near future. Everyone's going to say that Milwaukee would have never won the title if Kyrie and Harden didn't go down, which is probably true. I mean, the Nets were up 2-0, but injuries happen every year to the game's top players. Milwaukee, along with Phoenix, were the last team standing and played who were in front of them. That not only should give a lot of respect to the Suns and Bucks, but those two teams getting all the way to the finals last year should bring a lot of intrigue and hope to fan bases across the game. So that's the first thing you need to complete the non-super team championship formula: a determined, committed, and of course uber-talented number one option. However, that's only one of many pieces to the puzzle. In Toronto, they had guys like Marc Gasol, Serge Ibaka, Danny Green, among many others who were willing to step up and knock down buckets and defend on the other end. In Middleton and Holiday, the Bucks have two second and third go-to guys who were elite players on both ends of the floor in their run to the title. The latter statement of my last sentence is the key part: elite on both ends of the floor. If you have a 20-plus point per game scorer as your second most important player, of course that means something in the fast-paced modern NBA, but if that player's a liability or even a tad below average in terms of his rotations and one-on-one defense, come the playoffs, your team's going to get exposed. Because while the regular season sees high-volume, top-notch offensive teams thrive, things slow down significantly in the postseason. Holiday showed he was the best guard defender in basketball, while Middleton was all defensive team caliber. Piece number 3 to the formula is well-suited, high-producing / clutch role players who complement those top players. PJ Tucker stopped Kevin Durant from averaging 60 in the second round. Brook Lopez was always there to make swift defensive rotations and knock down shots when Milwaukee needed them. The three-point sniper and Bryn Forbes and fan favorite energy guy Bobby Portis were the other key role players. The Bucks lost Forbes to San Antonio, replacing him with Grayson Allen. They re-signed Portis, who was a big-time scorer off their bench, so that was key. Last but not least, the coaching aspect. Oftentimes, coaches get in the way of their superstars' leadership. A good example of a coach not doing that is Nick Nurse in 2019. As a rookie coach, Nick stuck up for his players, specifically Kawhi Leonard, and let the guys on the floor dictate the personality of the team. In terms of what Nick did on the court, sending out a box-and-one on Stephen Curry, running fundamentally sound offense including pin-downs and pick-and-rolls with modern-day small-ball lineups around Leonard was the basis of what Nick provided. We saw Coach Mike Budenholzer do the same thing with Giannis, letting the Freak set the team's mantra. Budenholzer perfectly mixed up small ball lineups with Giannis at the 5 and traditional lineups with Lopez at the 5. Also, Bud's mid-series adjustments against the Nets and Suns were nothing short of brilliant. Of course, Harden and Durant, as well as LeBron James and Anthony Davis, are surrounded by some beastly rosters as well, making the Nets and Lakers solid bets to go all the way. But signing top superstars to max contracts in a large market is far from the only formula to success. We saw the Spurs and Warriors draft championship teams in 2014/15. Now we've seen the Raptors and Bucks trade for a big-time player in the offseason and win a title in the following year. Toronto traded for Kawhi, while Milwaukee traded for Jrue Holiday. One deal or draft pick can change the course of a team's future, and Scotty Barnes seems to be that guy who will lead Toronto potentially into the playoffs next year. Toronto still has a few years at least before they're in the championship picture again, but their 2019 title and of course Milwaukee's most recent title prove why the NBA is still damn unpredictable in the super team era. Let me know your early title favorite in the comments. This was D Flow, and I'll see you next video.